We didn't take one, they gave it to us. So Paulie, we did a con, and Paulie as a joke, you know how you always hear about writers in contracts where they're like, oh, we're gonna, you know, in my dressing room, I want 400 green M&Ms. And they just put him in the contract to make sure the contract is read. Well, Paulie was being funny, and he's like, we get a couch. And we showed up, and there was a couch. And so after a couple days, we got tired of that damn couch, and we tore it apart.
We used a small saw that somebody smuggled into the con for us, and we dismembered the couch.
And from that day forward, every time we did that con, and we did it for like 7 consecutive years, they gave us a new couch and would make fun of us if we could not break the couch. So.
Yeah, so the couches got progressively more structurally significant, and at the end it was like solid oak. And we had to have somebody bring in like a wood chopping saw, like one of those giant bow saws, so that we could take it apart. And of course, this is all happening on the convention floor. And sitting next to us is the woman that plays Deanna Troi in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and she thought we were just juvenile delinquents destroying stuff for no reason. Now, first of all, she's supposed to be a psychic, so she should know. It's all part of the gag, lady. But to this day, she hates us.
Well, she saw us talk to Paul Freeman. Paul Freeman played Ivan Ooze. She saw us talk with him, and then we were okay by her. Right. Yeah.
Also, Buck Rogers hates Bulk and Skull.
Hates Bulk and Skull.
Yeah, because we scream all day, and Gil Gerard, who played Buck Rogers, he's a little bit older, and he's got hearing aids, and they're cranked up so he can hear the fans talk, but he didn't like our level of projection.
You know, that started in Houston. We were doing the Houston con.
Correct.
They put him between you, me, and Jason David Frank. And so we'd yell over him all day long.
Yep. And then we saw him at the next event, and it was like a gunslinger moment where he saw us across the town, and he flipped his Geritol bag over to the side, and was like, I'm gonna take you down.
Although we saved his butt. Remember, we were at that con, and they had like live streaming all day long, and he had to like live stream for 30 minutes, and the hell of Gil Gerard, he knows how to live stream. So we walked into the green room and was like, hey, you guys are loud, come on over here, come to my live stream.
And then he liked us again.
He loved us.
Biddy, 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 shut up, Buck.
So, I don't know if you guys know recently, but, well, you guys know. You guys filmed like 4 different versions of the pilot, if you guys remember. And one of them recently got unearthed on YouTube, and they showed it, and they kind of show like Bulk and Skull in the first pilot, because in the first pilot, like, you guys were probably a bit like more bully than comical, but in this pilot, you guys are more like way more bullied. Was that the original intention of the show, or was it always going to be comical?
No, the comic stuff came later, because really they just wanted a foil for the Power Rangers. They needed some jerks to kind of like yell at them or whatever, so the Rangers could, you know, do all that, you know, that they do in elementary school.
Well, and so Bulk and Skull basically were 2 stuntmen. Paulie was a stuntman at the time. He had just come off doing that commercial where he did stunts for, oh, you were standing for Louis.
Louis Anderson.
That's right. And so Paulie was technically a stuntman. It was just lucky that he was funny, and he actually knew how to act. But he wasn't cast as the leader bad guy. That was somebody named Bobby, and he was a stunt guy. And he was almost too menacing, you know. It was definitely like, hey, Pink Ranger.
Creepy.
Yep, so they fired his ass.
Well, they kept that part of the character in Skull, all the sexual harassment. Remember that first season, all the leering and kind of like drooling on the Rangers?
Oh yeah, I was always, my first day on the set, I was supposed to get all up on Tui. And I was the new guy. They're like, okay, so here's a very attractive woman. What you're gonna do is you're gonna get up real close to her. Yeah, when you're 18 years old, that's what you want, you know, with all your acting. What? Get up real close to her, and then she's gonna throw you in ice cream.
Tui was an awesome actress and a fully trained engineer, by the way. Before she ever started on Power Rangers, she had a full college education and made us all look like uneducated meat puppets, which we were.
I mean, to be fair, you guys are classically trained actors, right?
Well, now we are.
I mean, you did Hamlet.
Yeah, we both did Hamlet.
Yeah.
Dueling Hamlet.
I did Fat Hamlet.
I did tubercular Hamlet. Or not to.
I was diabetic Hamlet.
Hey,
That's awesome.
Hamlet can run on stumps.
I remember hearing a lot that you guys were Steve's acting coach.
I was,
Yeah,
yes.
good job on that one.
Thanks, man, thank you.
Great.
Steve Cardenas, he needed an acting coach because he couldn't turn his neck. Steve Cardenas cannot move his neck.
Hear that, Steve-O?
So he would do all this like shoulder acting, you know? Rangers, turn and observe the viewing globe. So funny.
Remember the many moods of Darth Vader?
He's always pissed off and stalking. Yeah. Even if he's just going for coffee, it looks exactly the same as when he's blowing down the Corellian cruiser door. I will take a latte.
That's awesome. Going back to the pilot a little bit, you guys were supposed to have a female kind of third person part of the group. What happened? Do you guys remember what happened with that?
Yeah, we still had her. Bridget, her name was Bridget, and her character name was Sharky. Nobody would ever know that. But Bulk and Skull kind of had a little gang. Like in Food Fight, we got Eric, we had Bridget. She was both the sweetest woman in the world and the biggest badass. She was a kickboxer. Like, she had a record. Like,
She still is, actually.
oh, is she still doing it? At the age of 50?
Do you want to find out?
No. So yeah, there was a female, but yeah, there was a whole gang of punks and bullies.
And what did they decide just to focus on Bulk and Skull?
Well, there wasn't enough story to have all those additional characters.
You have a team.
And plus they were all stunt people on the show, so they were either puttying or monstering also, so we only had them for that one day.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So one thing, and I talked to you about this a little bit earlier, Paul, is that you guys never really got proper action figures until this year. So
That's right. We had figurines.
you had the little miniature figurines.
Yeah, the minifigs where I look like I'm saying I caught a fish this big, and Narvy looks like he's having an appendectomy attack, he's like,
I thought that was full sexual harassment, folks. I'm like,
is that what that was? Gross.
So what did you guys think about the new figures, though? The Super 7 ones?
I am fully articulated.
what do you mean?
I've got 2 heads.
What do you mean?
I come with a hamburger.
What do you mean?
Like in the pantheon of action figure accessories, as a shopper, I see hamburger, I'm buying that. Because I can use that with every other figure. Imagine the Silver Surfer with a hamburger. It's just awesome. That's why, honestly, I love 1/12 scale little props, like little Budweiser bottles and like little bottles of Jack Daniels, because every character needs to have like a drunk alter ego.
Milo and Stitch and the Hangover.
The Red Ranger is passed out in the Blade Throne from Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're creepy. They're creepy. I took a picture of. I zoomed in, took a picture up close, and when I actually looked at the picture, I'm like, oh my God, they look just like us. Well, like they both have 2 heads, which is hilarious, like you said. But like for both of us, one of the heads looks like us, and the other one kind of doesn't. It looks less like us, I think.
Do you know in the world of Star Wars figures, look, you can only make so many Darth Vaders and Luke Skywalkers until you start doing secondary characters and then tertiary characters and then that dude 800 feet in the background during the cantina scene. It's because you just kind of run out of material. It's great that after 32 years, the wheel slowly made it around and they made fully articulated Bulk and Skull figures. I bought several extra ones. I'll let you know, Skull burns very well in the microwave.
He did the same thing with my figurine. We got the figurine, and Paul's like, hey, here's your figurine! And then he like doused it in lighter fluid and
My wife was displeased that I put a PVC action figure in the microwave for 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
And I'll tell you, your knee blew right out. Just like real life, man. Just like real life, yeah. Did you feel the voodoo effect happening?
I did. That's what's been happening. Oh my God. Well, and here's the worst part. He didn't even film it.
I didn't.
I'm like, Paulie, let me see it.
Well, I'm not trying to be demonstrative. I'm not trying to humble brag on this shit. I wanted to see you burn. And I did. I got what I wanted.
The melted skull.
I'm not
is in your
generating
soul.
content for social media here. It's more like anti-social media. I don't need friends. I want enemies. Can we do that on Facebook? Can there be an enemy button? Or I enemied you. Yeah, love you.
Guts.
Yeah.
No, so I was gonna say one thing.
Enemies.
That. So one thing, you guys have been featured in the comic books, but you, Paul, in particular, were on an RPG game, and you are officially Hyperforce Yellow. What did you think about that when they approached you about joining that game and being part of that project?
Well, I mean, quite an honor to be asked to come to play one of the lead characters on the show. I never thought I would be on that side of it. But the hardest thing about Hyperforce was that it's a Power Ranger universe where we're role-playing. And you know the thing that you do in role-playing? You kill everything. When you're playing an RPG, your goal is to kill everything. But when you're playing a Power Ranger, you can't just kill everything because it violates the whole ethos of try to help the children. Try not to destroy downtown again. But I will say this, the construction industry in Angel Grove is very robust.
Booming.
Every day they rebuild that shit. Before 8 the next morning. So hey, it was awesome. The best part of Hyperforce Yellow is that he was a chunky boy. Like he was conceived to be a character that was not a super skinny Japanese dude with a fake bra, you know? So that was cool. And I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Did you ever man, I wish they called me for that?
I mean, anytime I can work with this son of a mother, I'll do it. Yeah, absolutely. So I was a little sad, but I was on the other side of the country, so I don't even know that it was an option or not. But
Well, so Hyperforce was 3 hours a week for 25 weeks.
that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
75 hours of content.
No, I'm not sad I didn't do it at all.
That's awesome. But in the comics, you guys are full-on Ranger. Well, I guess you were kind of like alternate Rangers.
Yeah, it's a multiverse, right? So it's like different membranes and bubbles. Yeah.
Yeah, we like the comics. I mean, Bulk and Skull got to do things in the comics they didn't on the show, right? The writers, again, kind of like you're talking about product. We've done all the product. Well, they got tired of all the Power Ranger storylines. So they're like, well, Bulk and Skull are kind of flawed characters. Flawed characters are what you want to write about, right? I mean, who's a flawed character out there? Come on, raise your hands.
I am.
Yeah, the rest of you are lying. That's what it is.
Perfection is so boring, honestly. Where do you go? You're already up there. There's nowhere to go. You know, you can only fall. You can only tumble like a falling star, like Jason's career. So I will say this, he's in academia now, because if you can't do it professionally, you teach it. Ouch. Actually, you're a college professor, and how are your student loans doing?
Oh, they're doing fine.
It's the gross domestic product of Nigeria, folks.
Well, there's a Nigerian prince who's going to send me a lot of money, and it only cost me another $5,000. That's great.
Back to your time a little bit on the show. What were your inspirations?
Okay. All right, instead of your student loans, let's talk about the show.
Yeah, student loans is the.
You want my accountant's number?
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Large amounts of institutional debt which drag even my children's lives into the gutter. Something I just can't stop talking about.
I mean, we were promised things that didn't happen, so with that too. But the reason I was saying, because I was thinking, like, you guys are very comedic, like, you're very, very physical on the show back in the day. Did you guys draw upon any, like, classic comedians when you guys were doing that show?
Yeah, all of them. All the famous duos, Laurel and Hardy primarily, Gilligan and Skipper, you name it. Ren and Stimpy, Pinky and the Brain, you know.
Sometimes we go big and go Three Stooges, because there's three of them.
Barack Obama, Joe Biden, you know, all the great comics.
Now, you guys kind of evolved through the show a little bit. You guys started off bullies, then you guys went to like junior officers, and were actually like policemen and detectives, and like that. Where were you? Like, they were constantly trying to find new things for you guys to do. What was that kind of like? Did you guys have any say in that? Did you guys Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, they would usually bring us in and be like, "We're going to make you cops. Is that okay with you?" And you'd be like, and they'd be like, "Yes, I thought you would like this."
So you can imagine we got in trouble a lot on the set because we were juvenile delinquents playing juvenile delinquents. And we would, I don't know, stab swords through walls and set shit on fire occasionally. Small, very small.
Spray paint
of
the walls.
Local shoplifting.
Burn scripts.
So we often were, burn scripts, that's real. We were often called into the principal's office or the producer's office and to hear how much money he was gonna fine us for our latest act of destruction. And then 1 out of 5 times they would be like, "Oh, you're not in trouble." We're like, "Yeah, thank God." So what do you want to be? Police officers or in military boot camp? And of course, this was Gulf War era, so I was like, definitely police officers. I don't want to encourage anyone to draft my ass into the dirt box.
Yeah, because the police academy, they really embraced us.
They did not like us.
Not like us. We shot at LAPD Police Academy. And I don't know if you know this about the LAPD, just sweethearts, all those guys, every single one of them. Just love to be made fun of. Love it.
So yeah, we did get a little bit of input here and there on what would be the yearly or bi-yearly kind of change for the characters. But really they had to change us away from being bullies because bullying is stupid and it's not sustainable as a character beat, you know? So they had to kind of, you'll notice they became more lovable and stupider over time and that just hasn't stopped. We're absolutely more lovable than we've ever been. And, yeah.
Now, whose idea was the chimpanzee thing?
Oh God, that was Shuki. He would go through phases where there was a certain, Shuki was one of our producers, very close friends with Chaim Saban. They were kind of business partners growing up. And that's actually a hilarious story. They were in a band together and Chaim Saban took care of all the business. But he sucked. He couldn't play but they didn't want to fire him because he's the only guy that knew how to do business. So they would turn down his amp so you couldn't hear him. But anyway, so Shuki had a lot of creative control and he would go through phases where there's a certain thing, a certain look, something that he thought was funny. He caught us on his monkey phase. So they wanted to like make it so we were still working while we were working on the spin-off, Bulk and Skull spin-off, but yet still have some kind of comic relief. And so, monkeys!
And of course there was no spin-off because they focus group tested a Bulk and Skull show, but it didn't have giant robots and kung fu and nobody cared. All the kids were like, no robots, no kung fu, don't care. And so no spin-off for us.
What was the pilot about?
It was, are you familiar with Elvis, the Mexican Elvis? Do you know this guy?
Yeah, a little
All right,
bit.
so he carries a chihuahua around like he's like the villain in Iron Eagle 2 or whatever. So it was gonna be Bulk and Skull are managing a hotel that has all these wacky characters in it, and Elvis was kind of one of them. He was like the main one.
Yeah, it was like a Pee-wee's Playhouse kind of thing. That was the era.
Exactly.
You know?
It was cute. It was cute. It would have been funny, but it would have went for 1 year. It probably we probably had been
That would
done.
have been the end of us.
And so we were able to continue for 8,000 more years on the Power Rangers.
Although Pee-wee's Playhouse went for 7 years.
You mean before he got paroled, or
I was about to say, and what has Pee Wee Herman done that we haven't?
time? Hard time. I didn't want to say it, but I had to.
That's awesome. So, like you said, you were on the show. You guys saw many people come and go. What was it like seeing? Because obviously, you guys started with the original cast.
You mean with the changing of the guard?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, if you imagine, okay, first of all, the show's been on the air since 1972 in Japan. But if you think about the American version of Power Rangers, after what the third year is when they tried to like say, we want to get paid more money, and then they opened the trap door and they all fell down and they simply replaced them. From that moment onward, every year, 6 new kids, right? And if you add up all the years, you need Oakland Stadium and 6 full city buses to move them all. And so basically, we forget their names sometimes.
We also learned don't name them. I mean,
We say good fellow.
Hey, my friend.
My dear.
Buddy.
Buddy. Yeah, a lot of buddies.
Yeah, a lot of buddies.
So Ciara, who's the Yellow Ranger, And one of the Yellow Rangers, she has introduced herself to me like 800 times because she knows I can never remember her name. She's like, I'm Ciara. I'm Ciara. And now, these days, I tell her she's Ciara, just to remind her.
And she goes, who are you?
Well, she got a baby now, she doesn't care.
I'm gonna damn. Sorry, that was, we have trauma.
There's no children here, except for Matt.
Now, this is one question. It's kind of my question. We'll kind of end here, but why did it once and always? Was there a reason you guys weren't able to come back for that one, or they?
Sure.
Well,
Yeah, once and always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Budget.
It's budget.
It's just budget.
But
And
budget, both money budget, but also budget of time. They had, what is a 1 hour special?
Yeah.
As Paulie said, 4,000 Rangers. Like, they didn't have time for Bulk and Skull. In the original draft, they did have Bulk and Skull, but then they're like, well, I think people want to see the Rangers and not Bulk and Skull. So we'll put Bulk and Skull on a sign.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a fan, we wanted to see Bulk and Skull. I think that was, I don't know what you guys think. Yeah.
Thank you, very kind of you.
I thought the sign was nice.
Very kind of
but
you.
I was like, even if you guys just walked in and said,
Well, first of all, they paid us.
okay.
And we got paid very well to do that. And second, I got to shoot that picture of myself in the bathroom with no pants on. So the next time you see that, you know too much.
So now when you look at that picture and you guys are side by side, you can think, he had no pants on.
Dude, most of my life has been next to pantsless Paulie over here, okay? So.
Well, they made a shared dressing room for like 5 years. So imagine two straight guys trying to change their chonas in the same room, which means you both go to the corner like you're a Bulgarian dunce, you know, and try and drop trow as quickly as possible so that the other guy, you know, doesn't look at you, essentially. Yeah.
What you see?
Now imagine what's going on. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
Hey, you guys, thanks for coming to our little
Give a round of applause.